Well, g'day everyone. Welcome to Big J's Place. I'm your host, Jason Stevens. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, yesterday I had a funny experience. I took my son Presley. He's just over 1 year old. We took him for a little walk. I live near the water at Cronulla, and we saw a seal in the water. It was a little fin hanging out, and showed him, and he loved it. But I wasn't sure if it was injured, so we went back in the afternoon, and it was still there in the same spot. And I rang Orca, who that's the sort of the wildlife people that, for injured seals, for whales, dolphins. And they said to me that they had checked it out and the seal was fine. It was just self-regulating. And I thought, wow, I didn't know it, like maybe from the temperature and so forth. They didn't go into detail, but I looked up self-regulating, what it meant. And I thought it was interesting because it challenged my own sort of thinking. It said, it's in the most basic sense, it involves controlling one's behaviour, emotions, thoughts, and pursuit of long-term goals. And more specifically, emotional self-regulation refers to the ability to manage disruptive emotions and impulses. So I just had a moment this morning thinking, is that seal, is he there just taking time out just to because he only had one eye as well, which means there has been trauma, maybe from a shark, but is he just taking time out is he regulating his body temperature, or is that his way of dealing with the emotional trauma? But then I thought myself, there's so much happens in your life, like it's just a reminder to me to take time out for myself and have a think about, yes, your long-term goals, your short-term goals and all that, but then the emotions and how your emotions are going, and be kind to yourself. Because I'm seeing it everywhere on Instagram, be kind to yourself. And I just go, yeah, flick, what's next? But it is important to take time for yourself. So I hope that speaks to our 4 listeners who are 5, actually. My mum started listening last week, which was great. We might have a few more, though, after this guest. I'm anticipating we will, because I'm very excited about it. He gets asked a lot, I've got to say, to go on podcasts, so I do feel very grateful that he's here. He hails from the Gong, where all the best people in the world apparently come from. My wife, she's a Fig Tree girl. He was a very, very good footballer. Played for West Tigers as well as the Sharks, and early days with St. George. He's a rare TV talent. He's extremely quick-witted, I've got to say, probably the best I've seen on TV, but he's also taken steps in the pantomime world and in film. Beau Ryan, welcome to Big J's Place.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Sorry, it was a bit long. It was a
bit too long, probably.
The seal thing lost you. I saw you looking at your phone.
I was waiting for the seal thing to lead into me or go somewhere, but it was just
It's just about being like. Have you been self-regulating? Because you do take time to reflect. I've got to say.
I was thinking about the seal. The seal's probably got problems at home. I don't know where seals live, but maybe its wife was carrying on, or maybe his partner, or had some drama. He just wanted to get out.
Are you projecting?
Maybe sometimes I am the seal and I need to get away.
But it's amazing that a seal can do that. Like that's what they do to regulate. It's amazing.
I saw a seal. What's that water down near? Not near Toowoomba, on the other side, Port Hacking. What is that around there? Is that near Bundina? All that entry there. I saw a seal there once in Bryce Gibbs. A guy used to play with his boat, and I thought it was a shark. I've never seen one.
The fin was out, was it?
Yeah, I just saw it sort of side on. I thought it was a shark. And it was dark. I've never been startled like that before. They're quite big. They're quite big. I don't know if they're aggressive.
The seals?
Yeah. They aggressive?
Well, I don't know a lot about, but I don't think so.
Oh man, I saw one. It scared me. That's the only other time I've seen one. When I used to film overseas in the States, there's heaps over near San Fran, those big ones.
Yeah, I went to in San Fran. We went no, not San Fran. I'm sorry, San Diego. Yeah. There's a whole little beach area where there's hundreds of them just lounging, and it's
and they're big. And I think they're aggressive. I think they are.
Well, if you're not getting fed, anyone sort of.
But there's one around here somewhere.
You get hungry.
It's probably the one I saw that you saw, because I've only ever seen one.
Yeah, well, I think it is because I spoke to another guy who saw it and said, because it's got one eye missing, so it's the same one. It hangs around.
It's just looking around.
Hey, mate, before we get into it, I want to ask some getting to know you type questions, if that's all right. What's your first concert you've been to?
First concert, probably Home Bake. home bake, which was like a big day out.
So there's a mixture.
Of concerts. So I used to like. I tried to fit in. Like at my school, I had a lot of surfies and little punk rockers and that little.
Were you a surfer?
No, but I tried to. I tried to fit in. I went there home bake, and I was only about 13, 14. I went up on a train with my uncle and a few other mates. So we went there. I mean, looking back at it, the music was awful, but it was just good to be.
Who goes to a concert with their uncle?
Well, my uncle's a bit of a... everyone's got that creepy uncle. You know what I mean? They just hang around as young boys. I was hanging out with him because he used to, buy us alcohol and whatnot. So we went up there with him. I haven't seen him for a while, actually.
Can you remember some of the acts?
Yeah. Living End were there. I used to like Living End. I remember Grinspoon. I was a big fan of Grinspoon.
Yeah. They were Aussie band?
Aussie band, yeah. Both of them Aussie bands.
You know what? Because when they came on the Footy Show one year in the final, in the grand, remember that, obviously, the big, the really big show at the end of the year, and I confused them with what's that band that sing? Hope you had the time of your
Green
life.
Day.
The Green Day. Yeah. I thought they were Green Day.
There's about a $200 million difference.
And I went up to the guy and I said, I love that song. Yeah. And he was like, you're a dickhead. You are a dickhead. And I wasn't taking the piss. I promise I wasn't. Yeah. But that's honestly, I just got confused.
The lead singer, I forget his name, he's a good guy. Big footy fan. I was doing a footy show with Joey Johns. Yeah. And they were performing. I was excited, so I went out and met them. And Joey said to me, the big guys, big fans of the Footy Show, big fans of Newcastle. I said hi to him, and got a photo and that. And then Joey said, he's had a big couple of years, the lead singer. I said to Joey, what do you mean? He said the last concert he saw him play, it was like a small concert in Newcastle or somewhere, maybe somewhere in Sydney. He was that off his face that he come out to perform, and he performed the first song or first two songs facing the drummer. He was that off his head. So the crowd were clapping and waiting, and then the guitarist walked up and spun him around to face the crowd, and then he continued on with the gig. Oh my God. That's how off his head he was.
Are they around anymore?
Joey's kind of guy. They are. No, they brought out a new album. But they did a tour last year. I know it was last year or the year before, and I got a couple of mates I grew up with that went to a lot of the songs we grew up with. I think they're just playing a lot of their old stuff. They are still around. They go to.
So they're not from Newey. Are they from Newey?
I think he might be the lead singer. I've got a feeling someone's from Adelaide, but they're from Australia.
Because Screaming Jets, are they from?
Screaming Jets from.
They're from. They're the big Saints fans. Dave
Gleason's from everywhere. I went to I watched him play. Yeah, they might be from Newcastle.
Yeah, right. I can't remember.
Nah, but they...
Do you remember Joey Johns after the grand final? After they won that 97 grand final, how he was knocking on the door of...
Daniel Johns? I spoke to Joey yesterday, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's the best player of all time, mate. I'm sorry.
I don't care what anyone says.
I don't care either.
I don't care what anyone says.
And I love Jonathan Thurston. I love him.
But people get blinded by the personality of someone and their good heart. Like Jonathan Thurston, you won't hear a bad word about him. He's just a wonderful person. I'm not saying Joey's not. Joey Johns is one of the nicest guys I know. If he's in your circle and if he talks, if he's friends with you, he would do anything for you. Unfortunately, stuff he done off the field before my time and before he worked in TV, scarred him a little bit and scarred other people.
Yeah.
But his football ability.
Oh, yeah.
I asked at Gal's testimonial, you ask Darren Lockyer, you ask JT, you ask the best of the best, and they all love each other because they're Queenslanders and insular. But you ask them about who was the hardest person to play, and they all say Joey Johns.
Absolutely, because you got to remember, as a front rower, I'm looking at when I'm looking at the Newcastle pack, I'm looking at Josh Perry, I'm looking at all these big, strong guys, and then on the fringe, you're looking at Andrew Johns running when you're about to take the ball up. I never ran at Andrew Johns because he always picked me up and drove me. But not so with the other. I'd always get a good forward lean on Ben Kennedy, on Josh, all those guys. But they're good hitters. Don't get me wrong. But Joey Johns' defence as well as attack was extraordinary.
I wish I played. That's a regret. I wish I played against him.
Oh, you never
just missed him by 6 months. Yeah, started in the end of 06, 07. He's just retired.
Far out. Because I remember him on tour, and he was, you talk a bit about his past and all that, but he did have some some issues that that he needed medication for. It wasn't really diagnosed at the time either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's still. I don't care what people say. Like he's
the best,
and he would do anything for you. If I rang him and needed something or wanted to talk, he would do anything for anyone, and I love him.
What about your first crush?
Teri Hatcher.
The
Lois Lane.
Oh,
bro.
She was beautiful.
Teri Hatcher. I nearly
was she
met
on
her.
Seinfeld? Was she the one on Seinfeld?
No,
as well?
that's Marissa Tomei.
No. Marissa Tomei was Seinfeld, but also Teri Hatcher was.
Oh yeah, Teri Hatcher come on there. Seen Jerry.
That's right. Yeah.
They're very, very similar, Marissa Tomei and Jerry and Teri Hatcher. I actually nearly met her a couple of years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was at a junket in the States. I'm not going to say where, and Cara, my wife, was worried because she knows how much I love her. Do you know what I mean? She's like, and I said, if I see Teri Hatcher, but my wife, I said, Teri Hatcher's my hall pass.
Yeah.
If I see Teri Hatcher,
it's
play on.
She agrees.
And no. She's like, stay away from her. She's single. She's old. She's probably naughty. And I'm going tick, tick, tick.
And the problem is, what about your first job?
Courier. Delivery driver, Star Trek Express.
That's right.
Loved it.
That's right.
Played at St George. A lot of the younger guys went through the system at Star Trek because one of the guys who knew someone at the football club employed a lot of young Dragons players, and we went there, and the part-time money was good, and it was early hours. I'd start at 5 o'clock. 5:30 we're driving. 5:30 we're unpacking the big B double semi-trailer. Finish at about 10, so that means the casuals would finish, and if you were good enough to drive, which I was lucky I could drive, I would then drive till 1 or 2 o'clock, and then go up to training at St George. But the funny thing was, you start at 5, so what is it, 5? Any time after 12:30, you're on double time. So I dragged the day out.
Oh, nice.
Like time and a half, then double time, do you know what I mean?
Nice.
So I'd really drag it out. Nice. And I was in my boss's pocket a lot, so I made a heap of money, man, back then.
Is that down the Gong?
Down the Gong. Unadera. Well, in Wollongong. But a couple of boys I used to play with at Dapto and that still worked there. So how it worked is the B double would reverse in, and I'd be in there unpacking it with a few of the guys. Chris Houston used to do it with me, Jamie Keith, a few guys that played first grade. And we'd unpack it, and it goes to a long conveyor belt, and then everyone's run. So it's Dapto, Fig Tree, Albion Park, Warilla, Shell Harbour. All the drivers are there, and then you just take your box off. So we'd send things down on the conveyor belt. We'd send notes down. We'd send, try and start a bit of drama down there.
And I thought my seal story was going that way. So.
Yeah, but mine's facts. Mine's information.
But do you reckon players, do you miss those days where players were working and... Do you think there's merit to that?
Yeah, 100%. And the Storm do it, Souths do it, I think. And I think Brisbane might do it in the off-seasons. And it gives you an appreciation for money. And I think I was earning about maybe $700 a week after tax. And I was working from 5 in the morning till 2 in the Arvo, and then training till 6 at night, and then getting home. So I was leaving at 4:30, getting home at 8:30. And I knew how hard it was to earn $50,000.
That's right.
So that when I got my first contract at the Tigers...
And that's missing, isn't it? That's
I got my
today.
first contract at the Tigers at West, which was $20,000.
That was my first contract.
And I knew, I'm like, I've got this, I'm getting $400 a week, and I'm doing something I love, so I really appreciated it. So that when I got my next deal, which was I think $130,000, I knew how hard it was to earn $130,000.
That's right.
I was putting it in hours at Star Trek. I was saying, well, if I want to go and earn $130,000, I have to work from 5 in the morning till 6 at night, and I don't want to do that.
That's right. And you know what? I think that is missing
people,
a lot in this. It's missing.
I say to everyone, young kids come out now, and I think the minimum wage, so like the salary cap works if you got your top 30. A lot of people don't understand, but if you got your top 30, you need 2 or 3 kids that won't play first grade in your top squad. They won't play. They're just in there to fill the cap. So they're on their 80 or 90 grand.
Yep.
And, mate, to come out of school and be on 80 grand to play footy and not play,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, my parents have never earned 60, 70 grand. They've never earned that. So I think the average wage for a player now is about 300. I could be wrong. It's around 300.
Is it really? That's high. Jeez, that's high.
It's when you divide the cap by the 30 players.
Right.
But the average wage, I mean, 300 grand. Like, I don't know, outside of the media and sport, I don't know anyone earning 300 grand. It's hard to get, man.
Oh, absolutely.
But young players get it and just think,
I know.
What's next?
I know. So I was playing and earning good money and still bringing home packed lunch. I still had to pack lunch from my mum, and I was like, I drove a pretty dodgy car. Well, it was okay, but it wasn't like guys were buying all these And instead I said, no, I want to buy a home and you know, like, it's just because it can go as quick as it comes.
Oh, and now look at you. You live on the beach here in Cronulla. If we could pan this around, you're in my opinion, the best place in the world, man.
It's a great place. It's a great place. What about your most embarrassing moment?
What, in footy?
Anything? Just anything.
Oh, yeah. Once a couple of years ago, I was only talking about this the other day. I was on the Footy Show and we were talking about concussions. And a lot of the time on the Footy Show, I'd already recorded. I'd have 2 or 3 tape pieces that would go for 10 minutes. So I'd have a Beau Nose, I'd have interviews with players, I might have a celebrity interview, where I sort of have done all my work. So by the live show, I'd just chime in with opinion. So a lot of the time I wouldn't listen. And we're talking about head knocks or concussion. They were talking Fatty and I think Joey and Brett Finch. And they threw to me and said, oh, you knew. And I heard the word Liam Fulton. And I'd played with Liam Fulton. And I was just completely tuned out. And they threw to me and said, oh, what do you think, Bowie? And I had no idea where we're at.
This is live.
This is live, man.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, you know, Liam Fulton, head knocks and, you know, it happens. It affects everyone. And then I just stopped for about 3 seconds. And I said, I have no idea what we're talking about. And everyone laughed a lot because they thought it was a joke because we were talking about concussion.
Oh, it was a joke. Yeah.
And then some people were very like, oh, that was distasteful from Beau. This is affecting everyone. But I genuinely had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I just tuned out. So that was actually, I dodged a ball. It was embarrassing for me, but luckily people didn't take me seriously and I just skirted around it.
What about your favourite movie?
Oh, good question. I like a few, man. I mean, Braveheart is hard to beat,
That's
bro.
mine, yeah.
Braveheart's
mine.
The Departed. But
so good, The Departed. So good.
You know what, man? I mean, I like Shutter Island. I'm a big DiCaprio.
Oh, I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't understand.
Yeah, I got too deep into it.
Did you?
See, I overthought it too much.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to say favourite movie of all time, this movie pops up all the time with me, and I love it. I love him. I'm going to say Scarface.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my!
I know.
You're a movie maker and you haven't seen Scarface.
I'm somewhat of a filmmaker.
Well, they're redoing another one with DiCaprio's playing Pacino. So he's essentially a drug lord. Yeah. Really? Yeah, Pacino. DiCaprio is going to play, he's a Cuban refugee. So he has to learn the accent and all that. And he's been spotted around LA before COVID, DiCaprio with Pacino, and he's learning the lingo and stuff.
Is that right? Oh, gee, I look forward to that. What about favourite book?
I'm not a big reader, man, but I'll just probably say I'm reading Purpose Driven Life, Rick Warren.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah.
It's a very powerful book. What about a person from history you'd like to have met?
The few. I mean, Muhammad Ali's would be a good one. And Michael Jordan. If I'm talking about sport, those two guys are above the rest.
Yeah.
You're talking about sport. But, man, you got to say Jesus.
Well, yeah. You could.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't meet anyone, I'd like to meet Jesus, yeah.
Well, the thing is, you can still meet him because he's still here.
Yeah, but I'd like to have a good
flesh,
chat. Like to have a good chat with him in the flesh.
Yeah. Well, you play your cards right, you might one day.
I will, yeah. I will, man. 100% I will.
I know you will. Something you wish you were better at? Building.
Handyman. I'm really
they slug you too.
I'm shit at everything, man.
And you know, I had a builder the other day, and it's just like, it's going to do this, it's going to cost this, and I go, I don't know what he's telling me. It's like when I put my car in, you know. What
are the options?
What are the options? You just got to pay it.
And the only other option is you take it to someone else. So if those two guys say that, you got me, man.
It's like they've got a consortium.
It's a consortium. And I tune out, but like, it's very humbling. Like, I can't do anything, so
I know.
We'll get a builder to come over, a mate's brother, who comes over the other day and he hangs 2 photos, a mirror, and it does a doorstop. And I had friends over the other day. They said, "Oh, what do you got a builder here for? Everything looks finished at your house." I said, "Oh, to hang photos in the mirror." And they're like, "Why don't you do it?" And it's just that line, "Why don't you do it?" It just humbled me, man. And I don't really get humbled or affected like that. And it just knifes you. So I just said I'm too busy. And they're like, "No, you're not."
I got my father-in-law. He comes and does stuff like that because honestly, I'm just the worst.
I'm worse than you, man.
I'm worse.
I've seen you, bro. You paint that. I'm not.
I do paint.
I can do lawns and gurney and clean. I can clean stuff.
Have you got a gurney?
Yeah, I just got one. Do you want to borrow it?
Yeah, I do.
I got it in my house. Yeah.
Thank you.
So good.
Another little job for my intern, Rachel. Thank you.
We got sponsors. You got sponsors on here? Can we shout anyone out or what? We got sponsors, no?
The thing you did growing up that made your parents the most upset.
Oh, steal.
Did you?
Yeah.
From where?
Heaps of places, man. I can't say. You can't reveal where you steal from.
And you got caught? You got caught?
Oh, I got caught a lot, yeah.
Oh, they caught you, your parents?
Other people caught me and told my parents, yeah.
Okay. The biggest thing you've been nervous about?
Well, probably, obviously, when you're in trouble and with your parents, I was very nervous. I used to get in trouble at school, and knowing that my mum knew and that she was going to come home and talk to me, I got really nervous about that, really anxious about that.
So I was the opposite. I didn't fear my mum's retribution. I was more nervous of the principal, and I always had a fear of teachers. I had a real fear of teachers.
I was really
so
upset.
if my mum said, I'm going to tell the teacher, I was like, that's what really...
No, mine was the other way. I don't care about the teachers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, my mum. If I let my mum down in that, and it's still like that, man, if you let your mum down, I mean, everyone's got that...
Yeah, you don't let
that parent that you want to, that instills stuff in you, that you don't want to hurt them, and that...
Did you enjoy school? Or?
I mean, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, because I like people. I didn't enjoy class because I don't like being confined.
Right. Yeah.
I enjoyed certain classes. Business studies, I really liked my teacher.
Right.
I got on good with her. She was sexy, obviously, but she was a good teacher, and I really enjoyed business. I did.
You've got a business mind.
I just liked learning about it.
Nah, but you've got a very sharp business mind. Like when you talk about with stuff with contracts and how networks work and just like deals and stuff like that, you've got a very you can tell it's there.
I really enjoyed it. So I did like stuff like that. I did like maths, but I'm playing footy when I was younger, playing schoolboys and stuff. You miss a lot of school. So like in year 11 and year 12, I missed a lot. So that when I had to sit for tests, I mean, English and business, you can get away with missing some class and sort of fudge your way through it. But like computer and maths and all that, by the exams coming year 11, bro, I had no idea what was going on. So I didn't enjoy the last couple of years.
Was yours co-ed? Your school?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Did you date anyone from there? Or?
Yeah.
Cara wasn't there, was it?
No. I didn't meet my wife till after school.
Okay.
Actually, I saw her one day when I was in year 10 at a beach when I was 16. And I said, who the hell's that? You know when you know everyone in your area?
Yeah.
I locked eyes with her. And I was
Really?
like, holy shit, yeah, who is that?
Wow.
And
did you meet her then? Or?
Nah.
Wow.
But she said, remember, we still talk about it.
Oh, that's funny.
I tell her that it was love at first sight. It wasn't love, I just liked her.
Could have been lust.
Could have been lust or anything.
She's in a bikini.
She's in a bikini, but she remembers it. So I didn't really talk to her for a few years after that. And then, but I had a girlfriend.
Was that a nightclub? Was it at a nightclub, you guys?
Well, the beach was the first time we met. And then my mate, she lived with one of my mates. And her girlfriend was going out with my mate. So they all lived together. So, yeah, we met.
Nice.
Through friends.
Did you start dating straight away?
Or she was hard to crack. She was hard to crack, yeah. Really? She made me work for it. So we went out for a date and I hadn't really had proper girlfriends. I mean, I had girls, but not girlfriends properly, so I didn't really know what to do. So
but you would have been sought after, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't have long-term girlfriends and that. It was more just mucking around and, I was always away and playing footy and that. I was away a lot and, it's like, man. But, she was the first proper...
Girlfriend?
I took her to Hog's Breath, first date, and she worked there. I didn't know. Yeah, still waving at her. What's going on here?
Discount?
Yeah, 50%.
Oh, that's good.
It cost me $35. It was $70, $35. And then I took her to Woolies.
You knew that. You must have knew that.
I swear to God I didn't.
Really?
I swear to God. But I took her back, kept taking her back. But
Hog's Breath is good.
Oh, how good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she worked there.
That's great. That's impressive, I've got to say.
Yeah. I took her there, yeah. And I did my hair, my mate cut it, and I cut it real funky, long at the back and there, because I thought I was a bit stylish from Albion Park. And I got there and I said to her a few months later, I said, I bet you I got you from my hair, like my hairstyle. And she told me she's a hairdresser.
She's a very good hairdresser.
Yeah, but she hated it and she couldn't wait to cut it.
She gave me the best haircut I've ever had.
Really?
And I love Men's Republic. They do but she is like, she's unbelievable. She's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, she won't cut mine now.
Oh, really?
Sometimes.
She's lost the edge.
Yeah, she doesn't.
First date, did you kiss or that night?
Yeah, a little kiss. No, I went open mouth, like with a bit, like for a big wet one. But
yeah.
we actually went back to her house. and we sat on the lounge and we put the TV on, and it was Channel 9, and there was like a bit of it was like a love scene, and it was a bit kissy in that, and they were on each other on a lounge. So she changed the channel 10. It was again, two people kissing.
Oh my gosh.
So I looked at her.
It's like the heavens are saying.
Yeah, but then she flicks the next one to SBS, and bro, it's full sex. And I looked at her and I said, well,
which of the three?
Yeah, I said, well, what are we doing here? And she said, you have to go.
You got to go.
And then I married her.
Oh, that's so good. What's the best advice you've been given?
When I was younger, it was always tough times don't last, tough people do. And I always sort of lived by that motto. But I heard one probably 5 years ago that I really like. And I tell this to people, and I stand by it. Nothing is ever as good as it seems, and nothing's as ever as bad as it seems.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and
do you remember who said that?
Joel Kane.
Your mate, really? Mm. But he stole it from someone.
He stole it from someone.
He's not a deep thinker, Joel Kane.
It's not, but it's, I mean, you hear different mottos or sayings at different times in your life, and like sometimes you get really good news or really bad news, but if you take a step back, it's the more I think about it, the more I agree with it.
It's perspective, 100%.
All perspective.
Yeah, 100%. What about your pet hate?
Pet hate. I don't. I don't like. It happened yesterday. So driving. If I'm driving, and my wife has the maps, so she likes to control the map. So she'll say go left up here or go right, and I beg her just to leave it in the console so I can see it, or I leave it on the sat nav.
Yeah.
She likes to control.
Wow.
But she's very bad at it.
And she just tells you late?
She tells me late. She's like, all right, go left. Go left. Oh, back there. Go left in 200. Okay, back there. You know what I mean? And it irks me, man.
What about your guilty pleasure?
Caramel stuff.
Really?
Salted caramel. Anything caramel, man.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Caramel guy.
Lesson that's taken you the longest to learn?
The lesson that's taken me the longest to learn. Oh, probably if my wife and I have a disagreement, to just let her be. Every time we have a disagreement or whatever, I try and confront her and we speak, and I try and just get to the bottom of it straight away. And I still like that. If I just let her have her time and come back. So I'm still grappling with that.
That's hard, because when it's
on me,
burning on you, I know.
I just got to go
so
to
hard.
It. It's hard, man.
It's so hard to.
I still haven't properly learned that lesson,
to have that emotional strength to go, you know what, this is going to be a time to address this.
Yeah.
But it's hard because sometimes there's never a time. There's never a good time.
And women are like what I've learned. Women are like water on the stove. Time doesn't heal all, man.
You reckon?
Oh, bro. They simmers. And by the time there's no water left, or it's bubbling, and do you know what I mean? Everyone's like time heals all. It couldn't be further from the truth.
I think because that saying time heals all, I actually don't agree. I think in time wounds can heal, but if the wound is left open and not dealt with, and there's no healing for the wound, it's like dirt under the rug.
That's a good one.
It's always there.
That's a good one.
You can just, you know what I mean. And so I think I don't think time in itself heals anything, but but yes, in time things, because you can work through stuff.
I agree. Time makes things easier, but it doesn't heal.
Doesn't. No. Because you can, you know, I've met people that, you know, like. I met a guy from school, and I haven't seen him for a long time, and they brought up something that I said, and I was like, you still remember? Like it was a stupid thing I said, but that he still remembered it, and it still had an impact. So he hadn't, you know. It's funny, it's a funny thing, but how do you confront stuff? What's your style of confrontation?
I'm pretty.
Or do you avoid?
I used to. I used to. I'm pretty good now. Like if I've got something on my mind or on my heart, I reach out to people. But
it's awkward. It's hard to do.
It is, but mate, I'm telling you, it's as hard as it is.
The truth can be so confronting. I find.
And if you humble yourself and ask for forgiveness, or forgive someone straight away, mate, it's changed. Yeah, it's changed my life with certain people. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's so good.
100%.
I wanted to talk just a bit about, like we mentioned a bit about Footy Show stuff, but I don't want to bypass your footy career because you had a very good career, but it did get cut short by a neck injury. I think we had very similar.
Yeah.
Did you have a disc protrusion in your?
Yeah, and I had surgery. I mean, it happened the last game in the semi-final to get to before the grand final to get into the grand final at 2013 at the Sharks, and I went to tackle the winger George Tafur, and I went low, and I remember being a bit concussed, and just my arm feeling weird, and I think the hype of the game, I didn't really think about it.
I don't remember. No.
The game finished, and we had Mad Monday, and we were all out and drinking and carrying on, and then it wasn't until the next day my hand was a bit sore, and then I had just hand and arm symptoms for about 6 weeks, on and off, and because we had time off. So by the time I come back to training, my fingers were a bit numb and my arm was really, really painful. So I got the surgery late, and I think the nerve damage was already done. So I had the disc shaved, I was about a 5-month recovery, came back mid-2014, played the first game and felt all right. Second game, copped a whack and was in pain. I remember seeing Andrew Johns when I walked off the field. It was at Parramatta Stadium. It was a Monday night game, and he said, mate, he had the same sort of injury, and he said, you got to retire.
Wow. And
I walked off, played the next half, and then played one more game against the West Tigers at home at Cronulla, and I told my family, we were in dire straits, the Sharks, that year. We'd lost our coach, we'd lost half the staff, half the crew, because all this drug stuff was coming up about Asada. And I remember inviting about 20 of my family and friends to the game and said, this could possibly be the last game I play, and it was.
Oh.
But it was fitting. It was against the Tigers and it was at home.
But how did you feel after? Because it's hard. It is hard to retire. I mean, you walked into you created a career for yourself.
No, I was lucky.
The blow a bit.
I was lucky, man, because
it's still hard,
mate. In my time, the only people that got full-time jobs after footy in the media were the greats of the game.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on a panel. It was like me, and then it was people like Darren Lockyer, Wally Lewis, Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, and then I was sitting with them. And it didn't feel right because it was like these guys were the greats of the game. I was just lucky that I'd done my apprenticeship in TV, that I could walk into a job and provide entertainment. But to answer your question, I felt relieved when I retired.
Did you?
Because my mind, like, to play a game, I would play a game on, say, a Friday night. Saturday I'd spend all day icing or recover. And then Sunday, Monday I'd be in pain. And then I'd be on a physio table from Monday to Friday trying to get my body right. And then I'd play again and it'd flare back up. So the last 6 to 12 months I was just on physio tables trying. So it was just it was not enjoyable, man, and it was uncomfortable and it was painful. So when I retired, I was happy.
Your dear friend Chris Hino, who had an illustrious career, he said, I remember you said something to me that he said something to you after the game about, I don't know, had they won the grand final. They won the Sharks win their first ever grand final. Yeah. And he said, you should have been there with us, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember you talked a bit after it because that must have been hard to hear.
Yeah, I only played 127 games and 125 of them were with Chris Heighington.
Wow.
So there's only 2 games I didn't play with him. And I played all the games at the Tigers with him, all the games at the Sharks. He was one of, if not the main reasons I come to Cronulla. And I remember he played the game 2016 grand final. I couldn't go to it. I don't know, I couldn't go to it. I mean, I was still technically on contract that year if I had have filled my whole contract out without retiring early, because I was only 21 when I retired. Not that I would have made the team. They had Val Holmes and a superstar team, but I just was a bit hard. But I was watching the game and I just remember when Andrew Fafita scored that try, I just was jumping up and down. I couldn't, and I thought the selfish me would be a bit like, you want them to do well, but you sort of, there's a party you don't know.
Of course, yeah.
And I was just supporting them so much. And then I spoke to Chris Heighington that night after the game, and then I FaceTimed him in the morning, and he hadn't slept, and he was at Shark Park sitting with, I think it was Ricky Latelli on a case of beer with his ring. And he was just talking, he was emotional, and Benny Barber, they're all there, and he's just like, I wish you were here and all this, you should have been there, and it sort of hit me pretty hard.
Yeah.
But that's a regret, obviously.
But it's nothing you could do. It's not really a regret, because in a sense that a regret would mean I could have done something about, but there's nothing.
Nah, I would have killed to win a premiership.
Same.
Killed, man.
Same, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I want to talk a bit about the Footy Show stuff because really, I didn't know you, and used to go to the same gym as the former executive producer of the Footy Show, Gary Burns, and I remember you did something that was just so funny on the Footy Show. And the next morning at the gym, I said, "Mate, where'd you find this guy, Beau Ryan?" And he said, "I didn't. He found me." And I said, "What do you mean? So did you send him stuff? Did you?
Nah.
How did that all work? How did you get your entry into?"
2009. So I would have only been 24. The Footy Show was undergoing a bit of a revamp, but it was when Matty Johns went through all his stuff, and there was an opening, and I got a call off my manager, and he said, "I'm going to go meet Gary Burns." I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "Oh, he's the EP of the Footy Show." I said, "Oh, great." And he said, "Oh, they're looking for someone to do something different." And a few of the boys have said, "You're funny, you should come to the meeting." So I took Chris Heighington with me, and we went and met him and the professor, who was James Rochford, who's one of the best in the business. He's a producer, he was my producer back at the time, but he was sitting there with Gary Burns, and we went to the little cafe near the studio at Channel 9 there at Willoughby, Artarmon, the little cottage. Sat down with him, he said, "Say something funny." And so I looked at Chris Heighington, I just bagged out Chris Heighington about how old he looks, whatever, and he laughed, and he said, "All right, no worries, you got a job tomorrow. Go to Balmain. You go to Balmain, take a microphone, take James Rochford with you, and be funny." And then he left.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. So I got to Balmain, and we just did a Vox Pops with James Rochford.
Yep.
And he let me do my thing for a couple of weeks, and then he said, we're going to put a bit of a spin on it. And then he came up with we should do a Bo Nose, which comes from the Bo Jackson, one of the greatest athletes of all time. He used to be a Nike ambassador who played NFL and baseball, one of the greats. And we did that, and we basically just did a little skit segment where James Rochford would help write stuff, and then we'd finish with some Voxies, and mate, it was just there for nearly 10 years.
Just in there. 10 years, was it really?
Well, 2009, 10, 11, it was just under 10 years.
Do you have a highlight from the show?
I was lucky because back then we were on earlier, and it was a primetime show, and it was great. Yeah. Meeting people was good. Like meeting when we did the celebrity stuff was good, but I used to love the sketch stuff. Like when James and I would go and he'd write some stuff, and we'd just we'd banter, and we'd come up with some ideas, and he'd do a lot of the heavy lifting, and we'd shoot sketches with footy players, and I loved working with the players. I liked it.
But also live TV, because the Footy Show was live.
Live, yeah.
That's very different.
Very different
to pre-tape stuff.
Oh, very
different.
Explain
for people listening.
Well, I was lucky because I played footy, and obviously
you keep saying you're lucky, but I've got to say you've got a very, very good work ethic. You work very hard.
Well, the work is the reason I'm still going in the industry. But the thing with live TV, and not many people understand, like the Footy Show was live, and we had a sort of small audience in terms, probably 150, 200 people, which is very intimidating if you hadn't done it. But because when I started, I had a lot of tape pieces, and as soon as the camera turned on, I enjoyed it. I was addicted to it. I was just loving it.
Wow.
So I'd shoot that, but then I'd do the live shows. And the live shows, when I first started on the Footy Show, I'd do like a parody thing, or I'd pretend to be Tommy Rodonigas, or I'd do a sketch, or I'd do celebrity heads. So I'd only do 10 minutes a show for 2009 I did that. So that by the time in 2010, when I was regularly starting to appear, I'd already had a bit of a baptism of fire. I'd already been in front of the camera a little bit. So that by the time I joined the panel full-time, 2012, 2013, I felt natural because I'd been doing it for so long. Now, what footy players and other athletes try and do is they retire and they go straight into TV, and they'll try and go straight into a live cross or a live panel or a live audience.
Yeah,
now, that is
like
hard. It is. And if you haven't done it, you've seen so many people on Foxtel, there's been heavy ones. But the good thing what Foxtel do now, and I see it, and whether it's a player retiring, whether it's Braith or Michael Ennis, they'll do a panel show first before they do the big live stuff. So there'll be a panel show, and they'll get their opinion for a while. And then if they're good enough, they'll go to the games. And if they go from there, then they'll do the games, or they'll do the live show, whether it's a Matty show or the Footy Show. So they crawl before they walk. And I think that's important. There's not many people that can go straight into a live show. But the Footy Show skilled me for enough, it gave me enough confidence to take a few leaps and then, move on with my career. So by the time I got to Channel 10 that, I felt like I had I had enough talent to do my own thing.
The Amazing Race did great this year, and it was last year. Sorry, what was you went to a lot of destinations, a lot of flying, a lot of. How did that work on you?
Yeah, we got about 30 flights. It was brutal, but I liked it because
you were moved by some of the. I remember you saying, was it some of the places?
The best place I've travelled all over the world, been everywhere, and the most overwhelming place, the best place on earth is Africa, by far.
Really?
Yeah, and we went to nice places. I mean, we went all through Southeast Asia, through Thailand, where it's beautiful. You know, down the bottom of Vietnam and the Philippines, it's beautiful. It's paradise there. And you know, I've been all through America and all different parts of the States, Europe, but Africa. The best way to describe it, I was talking to someone the other day at Channel 10. People, if you've been to Africa before, and if you're speaking to someone who's been to Africa, you both sort of nod. You both know because you know what they've seen and they know what you've seen. In terms of, I remember we went to Malawi, and everyone was excited to go to Malawi because they've been there before, and I'd never been there. And Malawi is basically the place where Madonna takes all the kids. They're the really beautiful people. Right, Madonna's got about 12 kids from Malawi, give or take. But I said, okay, what are we doing in Malawi? What are we going to do? The hotel's good? They said, no. I said, the food good? They said, not really. I said, animals? They said, well, there's a few, but like they've got the big five, but you don't really see them. Okay, what's the land look great? No. Scenery good? No. But it's probably the best place I've been on earth.
But why?
Because of the people.
Really?
As soon as you get off the plane, you meet them and they're just happy to be alive.
Wow.
And they're so unfortunate. They're so poor. The poverty's unreal. But it's just, I remember going to a little fishing village and I got a little girl, she's nearly 8. And this little girl last year she was 6 at the time. And she was, they were fishing, little girls were fishing out in the lake. And I said, how old are these little girls? And they're all 6. And since they can walk, they've been just taught to go and fish and hunt and gather. And they've got smiles on their faces. There's no school. They're not learning anything. The other kids on the other side of the village were shelling peanuts. And they're sitting in a circle shelling peanuts. So basically there's a 5-year-old girl, then there's their mum, and then the mum and the mum's mum, and there's just generations of women shelling peanuts.
Wow. So there's real love, community.
And they're just so happy to be alive, and they're smiling and they're affectionate.
We've lost that in this culture. We
brought a drone down in the middle of a shop. I went into a Malawi village, and that's where they barter and buy and sell. And we brought a drone down. There was about 1,000 people there. And by the time the drone was about 200 metres up, by the time it come down, everyone was empty. Everywhere was empty because they thought the gods must be crazy. They thought the aliens were coming down. They all thought it was an invasion. But the people, man,
that's like in Star Wars. Yeah. Ever since Star Wars when C-3PO.
Yeah, and they all freak out. That's exactly how it was. But Malawi was it did change me because they're just grateful. And they're just warm and they'll walk up and they'll hug you and they'll embrace you and it's hard to explain, man, unless you've experienced it. And I'll talk to people, I'll meet people, random people who say, I saw you in Africa, how good was it? And I'll talk to people in Cronulla and I'll have a 10-minute chat about Malawi or Kenya.
So it must be hard to you come back and there's so much wealth here in I know there's still inequality in Australia and there's still people doing it tough. Don't get me wrong, but how do you put those two together? A place like that, then you come back to a place here. How do you teach your kids the value of? Because you have a great. I got to say you understand the value of money. I find you generous, but you're not frivolous with your money, and you understand the value of it. But like this, I just feel like the self-entitled generation that we're growing up in. It's just the lust for fame and for to make it to. I don't know. How do you send that message to your kids about looking out for the poor as well? Like when you that this world. You talked about purpose-driven life. The book, I think the first line in that book by Rick Warren, it says, "It's not about you." Yeah, that's the first line in the book, man. And I just went, "Wow, Powerful. What a book!" And that's when I put it down and didn't read it again.
Yeah, I think I stole it off that.
No, but seriously.
It's a tough one, man. Like, I got back on a Friday. I remember I got back Friday night and my wife picked me up. We'd been away for 5 weeks. And I got in the zone, and you get a bit of withdrawals when you finish a show like that because you just round each other for every day, every night. And I get really close with them and I miss them and I love them. But then you're taken from them and you come straight home. I remember I got picked up Friday night, woke up early Saturday morning, and we come down to the park just near our house down here. And my daughter was swinging on the swings, and then my son was walking around, and I just started crying. I just got tears in my eyes. I wasn't, you know, I didn't really speak to my wife about anything. I just got really upset and got really overwhelmed by the whole thing, and that's when it probably hit me the most. I'm finding it really hard, to be honest with you, in my life, with my kids, to not give them everything, because I didn't grow up with much. But I had more than enough. But I want my daughter and son to have the best life, but I'm finding it really hard, the line between giving them too much and making them ungrateful, and, you know.
It's something that I think about.
I'm finding it hard, bro, and especially my daughter now. She wants this, wants that, and the old me just gave her everything.
Yeah.
And just wanted to make her happy, but I can see how it changes her as a person.
And how does Cara? Does she?
My wife is
good
always take it back. Don't get it.
Right,
so I'd be away for ages.
Good.
And the first thing I used to go to the States a lot for Channel 9. I'd be away for a week and I'd come back with a present all the time.
Yeah.
And then they'd start expecting it. But I'm finally starting to find that happy place where I can just give them enough and make them feel grateful, which was very hard. It still is hard. I still wrestle with it every day. But I feel the trip to overseas to Africa, and that did change me like that. We're very lucky. We're fortunate that I do get time for holidays, and we have travelled a lot as a family. And when we go overseas, we go to Bali, you know, or whether we go up to Queensland. It doesn't matter where we go. We always spend a little point of time, especially when we're in Bali in Indonesia, where we go to places that are less fortunate. And I'll take her through a village, or I'll take my daughter to where kids are showering or what they're eating and see where they're sleeping. And I think it's really good for her.
That's great.
Because they've got no idea, man.
It's great.
They've got no idea. And I have no idea. Until I got to Africa. I remember we're in Africa, and I think I've told you this story. I'm in the hotel. We're in a hotel in Malawi. Now, in my hotel, I had one of those nice big gold shower heads with 2 showers. You know where there's 2 showers inside the same shower cubicle? It's like like you've got the shower head there and the shower head at the other end.
Yeah.
And then there was a shower head in the bath. So I had 3 showers. I looked across the road. So basically there was a big courtyard, or like a massive courtyard we had out the front of the hotel. And then there was a car park, and then there were the villages. And the villages were as far as you could see, and they had no water.
Wow.
No water. Hard. They had to walk for 10 to 20 kilometres the other way to get water. And here I am with 3 showers. And I could not work that out.
Yeah.
I could not work that out. The amount of poverty over there, man, it's like, it's really hard to explain, and it's really hard to understand it, because you see there's a lot of power and wealth there, but there's also there's kids that cannot eat. There's no food there. And that hit me hard, but you know, it's probably made me a better dad.
Because I went to Colombia, and I did. We've got a mutual friend in Jake from Stan, who you know, and his wife comes from Colombia, and I did a documentary, and I was in Colombia, and I was only talking to him this week about it, and it was very, very similar. We did. They call it the Barrios, which is their 5 million displaced people in a small area, just about 40 minutes out of town, I'd say. And yet you're staying in this hotel doing a documentary about it, and you're thinking, far out, like, how is this coexisting with this? Yeah. And I think about it a lot, and I think, and the only thing I've come away with it thinking that, you know, if in my next, you know, phase am equipped with more success and maybe wealth and so forth, if that's not in my heart to help that, then there's something wrong. Yeah. And even with what I've got now, you know, obviously we sponsor kids, and we'd like to do a lot more, which is why for me it is a driving force behind wanting to achieve goals. Because if it's goals, I think, are just about you, it's kind of like, okay, it's never enough, I'll be honest with you. But if you start changing your goals, the new settings about, well, if I get this, look, we'll be able to maybe do more for them. And do you know what I mean? It kind of just
100%.
shifts focus on, because doing things in the end for yourself, it's I don't know, it's not satisfying.
No, and it's funny you say that. Like the thing that probably had the most lasting impression, like people that were with me on my crew. Now the crew we worked with, the production company Eureka, say there's 50 of us, but 10 of us were really overwhelmed by what we saw, and they're all the people with kids. So I used to go to the children's hospital a lot. When I was playing footy, I went a lot. But then when I had my daughter, I didn't go for about 18 months because it just changed. I couldn't see it. I couldn't bear to see it anymore. And that's how, when I was in Africa, just having kids and knowing, knowing what your kids have and what your kids don't have, and just seeing that firsthand, it was super overwhelming. And that's why I do, man. I encourage so many people to go to Africa. Like, I would never go to those parts, because if I tried to sell Malawi to my wife, I'd say, what's it like there? Yeah, it's not that good. The hotels aren't great, the food's not great. But it's somewhere where I think everyone at some stage of their life should go to Africa, because it will change your life.
And if possible, like, have a look at your resources and start saying, oh, wow, can I sponsor a kid? Can I start helping? And
that's why Madonna's taking him, man, because you go there and honestly, you could take one, but then you take one and you're like, I'll take his brother, and you take his sister, and people go there and the kids, it's really overwhelming, man. It's super, and I had no idea a place like this existed. I'm not going to lie to you. And we're so oblivious to it over here.
No, absolutely.
We are, man.
We're fairly insular, I would say.
Yeah, but you're right. If you are in a position and you have a platform to help, and if you're not doing it, man, you're not contributing, in my opinion.
Do you think with the Amazing Race, can you say, will it come back this year?
Yeah, it'll come. We'll film this year.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but
that's good.
I don't know when it'll go.
It's a good show, man.
It is, man.
You're a very good host, and I've got to say, I think whilst you're live, you're in your element, because you can ad lib really good. Like, it's just a great show. It'll be a great show.
I was so excited when they said it. They pitched me a couple of shows last year, but I love it, man. And because it's my own, I mean, obviously there's bigger issues at the moment with all this coronavirus and COVID stuff, but
people need good shows. A lot of my friends love it, and they look forward to it, and it's not, no offense, but there's a lot of trashy TV out there.
There's a lot of
that lifts up the wrong thing.
And it's good, but it's because it's so much travel and there's so many hurdles, man. You'll appreciate it's super hard logistically to put together, but we will go this year. We will go, whether it gets on air this year.
Did you pick a winner? Did you pick a winner? Could you, after seeing all the contestants, did you say, you know what?
I picked one of the teams. I picked to have in the top. I'd say top four, because you get to top three, top four, and then, mate, in all honesty,
it's anyone's game.
It's anyone's game.
Yeah.
It is the top luck. 3 or 4. It is luck. I don't care what anyone. I see it firsthand.
Yeah.
But you need talent to get to the top 4. You need skill, and you need to be quite cluey. But once you get to that top bit, man, it's just hold your breath. Anyone can win it.
So good, so good, mate. Before we could keep talking forever, but I really appreciate your time. I know you've got a family to get back to, but before we finish, we have a little segment called True or False. So you're going to tell me a story. I've got to decide whether it's true or not, and then I'll do the same for you. All right.
Do you want me to go first?
Would you like to?
All right, I'll tell you something just happened to me. So I have been doing this renovation on my home for about a year. It means a lot to me. And my front lawn, I've spent about $4,000 on it. Now, I've got an underlay on it because I want to park on it. I've got grass on it. I've got everything there so that it's equipped to have cars on it, utes on it, and it looks good. Now, last week, they're building 7 units across the road from my house. How good. They've come over to me and they've said, the builder, and he said, look, mate, the main sewer for this street is under your front lawn.
Oh, no.
I said, no worries, mate, have a good day. He said, no. We need to put this attachment, and there's this massive round concrete thing on your sewer, under the sewer. I said, what's that for? And he said, it needs to divert the waste because we've got 7 houses here. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And he said, we need to dig it up. We'll be here next Wednesday to dig it up. Okay, no worries. So I'll see him, this is on Monday, I see him on Monday. He said, mate, sorry, it won't be Wednesday, it'll be Thursday, which is today. No worries. So this morning I come out and there's a digger out the front of my house. And he said, mate, we're going to have to dig it up. And I had no idea how far they're going to get it. He goes, we need to go 1.5 meters down, 2 meters long, and then we'll patch it. I said, mate, I have spent so much money on this lawn. I've got the grid under it. You're not doing it. He said, mate, we're digging in 1 hour. I said, you wait 1 second. Pull my phone out.
Because the council owns that, don't they?
Council owns it. So I ring the mayor. Luckily, I know the mayor, right? I have a long chat to the mayor.
What do you say?
And let's just say there'll be no digging at my house.
I'm going to say that's true.
False.
It's false.
They're digging right now. They're digging right now. You come up there, the biggest hole I've ever seen. Could do nothing.
I generally thought, because they are doing I know they are doing those houses next to you, and I know they've been there for ages. That's funny. You got me. They are digging. That's
big. Oh, and bro, they said, when they said a metre.
And again, you weigh that against the people in Africa. Let's put it in perspective.
And you know what?
It's a bit of grass.
I said, you know what? Take what you can. Just make sure you patch it up.
Well, when I was younger, my story is that we had this blue cattle dog, which now I realise should have been on a farm, not in a suburban house in Brighton, Lissands. But it just had a thing for motorcycles. It'd like jump over fences and just attack the wheels of motorcycles. And I was at the front once and I saw a motorcycle and I said, oh, my heart started to go, I'm only 10 years old. And it ran after this, it knocked the motorcycle guy off his motorcycle, and and he's there lying on the floor. And then my brother comes out, and he goes, "What happened?" And the motorcycle guy gets up, and I just pointed to my brother like it's his dog. My brother, he grabbed himself and ran, jumped over our fence, and dislocated his shoulder.
Really?
True or false?
I'm going to say false.
It's true.
Really?
I gave my brother.
How old was
just pointed to my brother.
And what happened to the guy? He's all right.
He was all right. Yeah, he was actually quite nice in the end, but he was a bikie and he had the beard and he just, he looked like they had bodies in his backyard. There's no doubt about that.
And your brother, and he dislocated his shoulder.
My brother dislocated his shoulder.
And old mate stacked the bike and he's fine.
He stuck and he was fine about it. Didn't charge, didn't do anything. But honestly, mate, this blue cattle dog, it was like, what are we doing with the blue cattle in the end? Dog? It died in the end.
Yeah, on the farm.
Something happened to him and we weren't that unhappy about it. And I do love dogs. But it was every time there's a motorcycle. It was Bowie, thanks so much, mate, for coming over. Lots of love, mate. Because I know you've been asked a lot to do this stuff and I really appreciate your time. And
good, man.
You're such a great talent.
Thanks for having me, brother.